What's going on, my friends? This is Dustin Stelzer with Electrician U, and this episode is some coverage that I did recently of the ideal national championship for electricians. This year it was held in Orlando, Florida, out at Disney. There were a whole bunch of people out there. There were 162 competitors that made it, that got whittled down from tens of thousands of people that tried out. They gave over $600,000 in prizes, like a brand new truck, brand new van. Winners from various contests got like $10,000, $20,000, $25K, $75K. I mean, they were handing out money hand over fist. There were international contests, so the very last thing was whoever the pro electrician is that won the whole entire thing had to go against a Chinese competitor, a Canadian competitor, and an Australian competitor who all did the same stuff in their countries. So the winner this year got $75,000. The pro winner got $75,000. The winner of the international, once it got whittled down to each country had a pro, the winner out of that got a brand new Dodge Ram pickup truck. Thing is sick. There was an apprentice contest. They got money. A whole bunch of people got money. There was like $10,000 checks being handed out, $20,000 checks, $30,000 checks. So this was really eye-opening. Like, I had heard of this in the past. I didn't know that this whole ideal, nationals thing was this big of a deal, but it really is. And the narrative the whole time that I was blown away by was that they are really trying to kind of make electrical cool again. By flashing money in people's faces, sure. But the whole narrative was like, families there supporting, and you had little kids like holding up signs that were saying, go dad, and you had like wives, and it was like kind of just a big family thing. There were union teams, non-union teams, even the singles, the pros and apprentices, there were union, non-union. So what I thought was really cool was there was no union, non-union squabbling. Like, it was just a bunch of dudes there showing up to do work. Everybody seemed to be really supportive of one another. For the first time, it seemed like an actual brotherhood of people that put on tools and do the same kind of work every day. And so there was a lot of really good talent that showed up. There were some people that, maybe weren't as good as some of the other people that could have been there. That's always going to happen in a contest, right? You're going to have a huge spectrum of people, but there were some, for like the conduit bending, there were some pros that had never bent conduit before. And I don't know how you can be a pro and get to a national championship if you've never bent conduit or if you struggle with bending conduit. So there's some, weird stuff like that. But overall, I was really impressed. Like, it was a 3-day event. So I was there for 3 days walking around with cameras. I had a videographer with me. We were just trying to cover every angle of this, but what's cool is being able to be there and see all of it. I got to go walk around the back sides of the boards that these guys are sitting on the front side trying to troubleshoot, like, how did they wire these things? And I'm just looking on the back side of them, I'm shaking my head. They had like 4 gang boxes with no wires in them, but they had wires passing right next to them. So on the front side, you see guys like putting these little dots trying to mark where the circuit goes, and they're like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it seems like there's something going to this 4 gang, but there's not. So whoever came up with the boards, it was kind of funny watching these guys knowing what is going on in the background. But I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to go again next year. I suggest any of you that care or that want to compete or try to see like where you shake out with a lot of the other electricians around the country in a timed kind of balls to walls fashion, I say go for it. I had heard of this contest before, just through scrolling Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it would pop up, but I had never put in much thought into it. I was just like, cool, whatever. But actually going to it and seeing how it works, like, it is a fast-paced, like, on your toes kind of event. So it starts out with a whole bunch of people, and then they have different rounds. They have qualifying, and then they've got semifinals and finals, and they've got all these different people that they're just whittling down over time. So the person that ultimately wins, by the end of the 3rd day, they have got to be exhausted because they have competed every single day, some days multiple times throughout the day. And even the pro, the one that won the entire thing at the very end, had to go against 3 other electricians from other countries who were fresh. They hadn't done anything all 3 days. They just sat and relaxed and got to watch everybody else. So it's just cool to see how these people work. Now, I will admit, being that there was a time crunch to all of this stuff, every one of these events was timed. Most of them were an hour time frame that you were looking at. But to do some of the stuff that they had to do in that short of amount of time, it made everybody start working differently than they would ever work out in the field. They're fucking throwing materials everywhere. They're, throwing tools everywhere. They've got a cart that has a bag with a bunch of tools in it. They don't get to bring their own tools and use. So they're using foreign tools, really not foreign, like not of the US, but like foreign to them. They've never used a lot of these tools before, or these bags, or worked off of a cart making this specific thing happen. So you have a lot of guys that are like grabbing stuff and can't find anything, and they're dropping tools, and they're like trying to open up brand new things of tape. And then like there were some times where, there was a piece of tape missing off somebody's cart. They didn't have the right color, or there were some devices that didn't have screws that came with them. And so it was kind of like a chaotic, crazy thing that by the end of it, everybody was just like, holy shit, we're done. So that was kind of cool to see. What I would like to see maybe in the future is, instead of there being such a short amount of time and so much work to do in such a short amount of time, it would be nice if the time wasn't as big of an issue. So a lot of people, I talked to Ideal, and they said, really, we're not looking for people that are fast. There are bonuses for hitting certain times, but what we're really looking for is people that work safely, that do work to code, that do work really neatly. The time's kind of a bonus. So if you can do all of the other things and still come in under time, that's great. But it seemed like most of the people there actually competing thought that time was the most important thing. So they were flying. You had people running around doing crazy shit, working on top of pipe, and they're like tripping over. The pipe's rolling around underneath them. They're throwing wire everywhere. I mean, working the sloppiest shit you could ever see in your life, because the general perspective to them was, I have to finish under time and I have to be the first to finish if I'm going to win. But the results that came out, that was not the case. People that finished early still didn't get bumped up to the next round. It was people who did very thorough, beautiful work that was all done to code, that was done really, really well, and they may not have even finished. So that was kind of cool to see. What sucked, though, is that it seemed like nobody got the message that was what was most important. It seemed like speed and getting in a certain amount of work, getting everything done in a certain amount of time is what everybody thought was important. So then you had everybody working like that was the big deal. So kind of curious to see what next year's is going to be about. I'm definitely going to go to next year's as well. It's just a cool thing, man, getting to see that many electricians and meet that many electricians, getting to meet inspectors. All the judges that were there were just volunteers that decided to volunteer and come to this thing. But to meet different instructors from different schools, meet union people, meet non-union people, meet all these different apprentices from all over. It was such a cool thing, man. I had people coming up to me all the time because I was wearing this shirt. They're like, oh, dude, I watch the videos. And it's like, oh, fucking cool. Like, I love meeting people and just getting feedback about stuff and hearing how they do things where they're at and what kind of jobs they're working on, what kind of people they work around and work for, what they love about this industry, what they hate about it. I just love that, man. That's my shit right there. So it was really cool to be around my people and just see how other people do work. It's very different than how I do work. A lot of it was. But I also learned some things. Watching some people, I was like, oh, whoa, you bend conduit very accurately and very efficiently because you do this. I'm going to try that, or just little weird stuff like that. So all in all, I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really, really cool. I stress all of y'all, don't stress you. I implore all of you to check out December 15th on ESPN2. The entire event is going to be covered. There were people there that were like professional videographers that were filming this so that you could actually watch the real version on ESPN2 when that comes out. But let me know what you guys think. If you've ever been to one, if you've ever watched one of these, if you're curious to go to one of them, if you think it's a whole bunch of malarkey. Either way, let me know what you guys think. Love you people. See you soon.